Hey, this is the Sounds on Vinyl show, the only show that will make your ears bleed. This week, 100. We'll be right back. Hey, my name is Phil Boyer, as always, and we have a very special show for you today. This is our 100th episode, 100 episodes since we started this whole nonsense, this whole big thing where we talk about vinyl almost every week. With me, as always, is my brother from another mother, Professor Rockstar Extraordinaire, lead singer of a few bands here and there, Mr. Mike Svensson. Mike, say hi.
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 How's it going?
it's going. It's going.
It's going. 100 episodes, for crying out loud. Jesus. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were.
We are not alone.
No.
If you remember the last season, we had this dude over from Denmark join us, talking about all kinds of vinyl. He is the guy that knows everything about vinyl. If he doesn't know it, then it's simply not a thing with vinyl.
He knows even more than me. Jeez.
Soren, what's up, man?
Hi, guys. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for having me once again. Absolutely.
You're part of this nutty show, so it's you're stuck with us.
Oh, well, it could be worse. I guess.
think so. I think so. But listen, I should we? There is something that's been in my mind this last couple of days. You and I spoke about this, Phil. We just wanted. There is some really big news happening in the metal world, so I'm taking the lead on this because I'm feeling overexcited. The Judas Priest has been inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. People, what do you say? Was it like about time? What do you think?
For me, the Hall of Fame is like the Grammys. It doesn't mean shit anymore. It's such a joke that it doesn't, for me, it doesn't mean anything. As a fan, I could care less. I mean, Priest is such a major band. They should have been in there 30 years ago, but, what do I know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Phil. I haven't watched any of the performances from Judas Priest yet, but I kind of, I'm not really interested in that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff. It doesn't change anything of my view of the artists or anything. And I remember in the last, the past many years, Iron Maiden have always been, I think they were nominated, but they kind of refused to be accepted, even if they did.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that attitude. It's nonsense.
I agree with you all, but there was some exciting stuff in there which made me take to YouTube to check it out because I heard rumors about it. So, and there is no official videos yet. So there are people in the audience with their cell phones, of course. Kiki Downing made an appearance with the band, plays several songs.
Yeah.
And Glenn.
Yeah, and so did Dolly Parton.
And Glenn Tipton is there too, which I think it's. I mean, Kiki can still play. He's still cool. I'm hoping that he will return to Priest at some point.
Yeah.
You don't? Why not?
No, I think he's an asshole.
Oh,
the stuff that he did with Priest when he left, and the shit that he said, and all the internal family Priest stuff that he put out in the public, I think was uncalled for and didn't need to happen. He wasn't gracious about his exit. Whatever his reasons are for leaving, whether they were good or bad, he didn't do it well, in my opinion. I do think he deserves to be inducted because he was obviously a big part of Priest throughout the years. But to come back to the band and be a guitarist again, I don't. Yeah, I don't think so.
I missed all that. What was that about? Have you heard that, Soren? Because I don't know.
No, I don't follow that, but it sounds a bit like Kiss, doesn't it? Yeah, it's kind of a vague Ace Frehley vibe going on here.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah. He would come out and do interviews and say, how when Glenn Tipton, was came out with his diagnosis and he stopped touring and stuff. Is like, well, they didn't ask me back and this and that, and it's like, well, dude, you
oh
left on
okay.
bad terms. You kept saying how bad Judas Priest was and how bad they treated you, so of
Oh
course they're not going to ask you back. And so he was just kind of an asshole ever since he left. So I
okay
don't I don't think Judas Priest needs that kind of energy in the band anymore.
okay
I think they've moved on. I think
okay.
Richie's
I
a great
totally missed that
guitarist.
part.
I don't think they need KK anymore.
No, if he's an asshole, like you said, I mean that's like too much. Because I don't know, but it's I totally missed that part, so didn't know it. Okay, moving along.
Moving on.
It's the 100 episodes. Can you believe it?
100 episodes.
No.
No.
So are we going to tell the people how the hell we started out and why we're doing this in the first place?
I mean, I guess we could.
We
I
oh,
think I think you owe it to the
yeah,
people.
we owe it to the people. It's like this.
Yeah.
Soren, you know because you're a nerd like me. We talked about this before.
Thank you.
It's like this. Phil and I were talking a couple of years ago about vinyl records and different pressings, and he said, "Oh, dude, you got a lot of pressings of Kiss Alive. Why do you have so many?" So I tried to explain to him, and I went on because I have no filter when it comes to stuff like this. I think that people are when they ask me a question about this, they actually want to know. But as it turns out, that people don't want to know. But it's like this when I go off and he said, "Wow, there's a lot of facts and there's a lot of stuff that you know. We should do a podcast about this." And I thought, no, people don't want to listen to this. Why would they? No, it is really interesting. But nah, the general people don't think this is any fun, and the people that collect they know stuff like this already. And as it turns out, they actually don't, because we're we're only a few people who,
We
yeah.
are a rare breed. Yeah.
Right before we went live with this, Soren and I talked about collecting and how it is to be a nerdy collector, thinking about vinyl records all the time. And I told the story of my daily routine when I go by bus to work in the morning. I tend to check Swedish eBay, and I go into Marketplace and Facebook, and the only thing I look for is records all the time. I think about pressings. I think about stuff that it's connected to collecting vinyl records, turntables, clamps, cleaning materials, and whatnot, and pricing. Dude, wow, that's a price of record right now, and whatnot. So it's totally insane to be able to do
Wow.
stuff like this, but it's all in good fun, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Good
talked
job.
for a while about, it took a lot of convincing to get you to
Yeah,
do the
it
show.
really did.
But the first show aired on the 25th of October, way back in 2019. So pretty much 3 years ago.
Oh man,
3 years it took us to get to this
3 years.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, and and it's you were right actually, to some extent, because people was really into it. I got a lot of DMs and text messages telling me that, wow, I didn't know stuff like this. It's really helpful for me going on record fairs or record stores, and figuring out what to buy and how much money I should spend on
Mm,
a certain pressing and stuff like that. So it's been very helpful, and so that's why we brought you into the mix also, Soren, because you got like more in depth knowledge because you wrote a book about it, and so I'm learning from you from your book all about vinyl or altum vinyl in Danish. So and it's that's my bible when it comes to collecting also, because it's to a certain extent I'm very digital. I just love discogs, going on discogs and finding stuff out on different pressings and so forth. But it's I'm an analog dude. As long as I sit down and listen to a vinyl record, it's sort of like I there's a routine I do. I need to put put the record on the turntable and sit down in my couch and I look at the gatefold or I look at the pictures and I hold the vinyl in my hand. Yeah, I've always done it like this. And of course I can do different stuff, but it's always near me. And that's why it
mm,
became so important for me to use your book when I did the listening to different, because you tend to talk about different albums that I love too, and there was snippets of that in your book that I could read about while listening to, for example, Creatures of the Night and so forth. So that's we took it into the deep end, as we say, with you, Soren. So how did you feel about finding out? Because it this is also a funny story. Damn, I got so many stories. It's nuts because I started from the get go. A year before we started the podcast, I started an Instagram account called at Sounds on Vinyl. So and that was for me to be able to hook up with people that shared my interest in collecting and showing off their collections and talking about music and vinyl records. And all of a sudden in my feed there is this dude that that had a book. Do you remember it
oh,
like this,
yeah,
Soren?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I contacted you because I'm a nerd, thinking, whoa, wrote a book about vinyl records. Fuck yeah! And he's from Denmark. Jeez. Hopefully you were from Copenhagen, but nah, I couldn't have everything. But still, and I told you, dude, what the hell? What kind of a book is this? Then you told me, and then I bought a book.
Yeah,
I had to
you
buy
did.
it, and and from that day we became
Absolutely.
friends.
Yeah. It was
That's
yeah, it was
crazy.
just
It
that's I think is one of the beauties of like social media, if you like, that you can
hmm
actually reach out to people that you never met before
yeah,
through common interests, and
yeah,
that's really powerful in a way.
yeah.
And you know, if you hadn't done that, you know, we wouldn't do this together today. You know,
No.
I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys. So that was a good thing you did, and it's just it brought a lot of fun stuff with it, you know,
Oh, yeah,
and yeah, and next year I'm actually going to Sweden to do vinyl talks. So yeah,
you are.
and that would never happen either because through you, I got to know other people in Sweden who you know who are in the business and knows a lot about music and you know it's just rings in the water in a sense, you know, something
It
happens and
is.
it just sort of create something new, which is really
Yes.
really fun.
And right now I'm dropping this bomb on you all. Phil knows a little tiny bit of this, but I'm dropping this bomb on everybody right now. Soren is coming to Sweden next year, and I'm starting a record store
No.
in Malmö, Sweden. It's a really big place. We're gonna try to have a live scene, and if I get it correct, the way I want it to, I'm thinking about why not let you come to me and have your lecture at
Wow.
my store.
This is
Yeah,
awesome
you
news.
see,
Congratulations, Mike.
it is. I'm just starting up. I'm just I it's I'm my company is ready to go. I got my place. I'm not gonna mention too much about it. I've mentioned it to people around me, thinking that, well, I need to see how the land lays, and if this is a good idea or whatnot. And people around me said, wow, if there is somebody who's going to start a record story, it has to be you, man.
Very cool.
So I'm doing this, and hopefully at the beginning of next year I will be up and running. And by the time you come here in April, maybe, just maybe, there's a scene for you where we could have a lecture and we could do this together.
Excellent. Are
It
you gonna
is.
sell new records or used only or
No,
both?
both, but mainly used
Okay.
records. So
So do you gonna
yes.
have a special room for Kiss Alive albums? Uh,
Oh yes, of course. That's, I mean, the record store is just a small
mm.
place. The thing for Kiss Alive, that's at it's a
Oh yeah.
hangar. It's, yeah, it's called Hangar
Have you
18.
have you seen that?
See what I
Have you
did?
seen that guy collecting copies of Beatles the White Album? There's a store
No, I
somewhere.
haven't.
I can't remember where it is. Maybe it's in somewhere in the States or in Canada, maybe, or maybe even Japan. Not
Oh.
sure. But it's a
Hmm.
store,
Hmm.
and the only record he has is Beatles the White Album. It's the only thing you.
Oh.
It's like a museum in a way. But he's got like
Oh,
hundreds,
cool.
thousands of copies of White Album
Damn.
only. And I'm kind
Oh.
of thinking, Mike, maybe you should look in those, look in that direction.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh. Oh, I'm beginning to get
You know
ideas
what I
right
mean, yeah?
now. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm totally
Good.
there. And but you need to help me with this, because I need someone to carry my all my records, and since you're still good looking and younger than me, you will have to be the one that carries. No, just kidding. That's a great idea. A museum of Kiss
Yeah.
Alive. My first record that I bought with my own money. If people are still listening and wondering what the hell we're doing,
Mike,
talking
that's
about Kiss Alive.
such great news. Congratulations. I'm really,
Thank you
really
so
looking
much.
forward to going to Malmo
Yeah.
and see you and your new place. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm scared and excited at the same time, but
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
But in a
hopefully
good way, I
it all
guess.
pans out. Oh yeah, in a
Yeah.
good way, in a
Sure.
good way. And and it's like this. I'm going through emotions all the time, but I'm thinking the more that I talk about this, the more I need to do it, because I told so many people that I'm going to do it. So this is the final frontier. If I drop this here on
Yeah.
the
There's no
100th
going back.
episode, there's no going
No.
back. It's like it's on the internet
Yeah.
forever. So
Excellent.
it is,
Yeah,
Have you
hopefully.
decided on a
So,
name
sweet.
yet for the record store?
oh
Oh yeah.
yes,
But you're not
of
going to
course.
tell that, are
It's
you?
this. Oh yes, I'm dropping it right now. It's called the Sounds of Vinyl Record Store.
Phil.
You see,
Phil,
you see.
you must be heartwarmed by this.
Yes, it's
It's
amazing. It's
amazing.
awesome. It's really sweet.
Sounds and
It's
Vinyl
cool.
record
Yeah,
shop,
Yeah,
record
record
store.
store.
yeah.
Yes.
Excellent.
It's
So
awesome.
there we go.
You're going to be
All
a record store
right.
guy, Mike. That's awesome.
I
Yeah,
am.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's so
yeah.
excited. I'm I'm
there you
I'm
go.
I'm I'm buying collections on left to right now, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Wow.
It
Look at
is.
that. Major announcement here on the
Major announcement.
100th
Yes.
episode of the Sounds on Vinyl show. I don't know how we can top that, except maybe we should play some music. What do you think?
Good idea.
I think so.
We've got some
All
music.
right.
So, as I always tease in the beginning, Mike is the lead singer of all these bands, right? So, I actually talked him into, hey, why don't you record one of your rehearsals and we'll put it up on the show? And he's like, I don't know about that. I'm like, no, man, we got to do it. We got to do it. And he did it. So, Mike,
Yes.
Grand Rezerva,
Oh yeah.
the band that's been around for how many years now? Has it been like 10 years, 12 years?
Yes, started in 2009 is the official year that we started out.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's some time. So it's great. We're still going. There were some bumps in the road, but it's called COVID. So everybody was in that bubble, if you know what I mean, with canceled shows and so forth. But we're still here. We're still doing some stuff, and maybe there is some new material coming from Grand Reserva in the near future. Just maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. You're not going to drop another big announcement?
No.
No announcements on that. Okay.
The record store was enough.
Okay.
So.
Oh, by the way, we just signed to Warner Records. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that would be something. So, but no, it's kind of weird talking about yourself. I mean, yes, I am the singer and founder of the Swedish band called Grand Reserva out of Malmo, Sweden, and that's about it. I got nothing more to tell.
Nothing more. Well, then let's take a sneak peek into the studio then, in your rehearsal space, and let's check you guys out.
All right. All right. Bada bong.
Nästa sang!
Nästa sang är den helhunden då.
Man, that was awesome,
That was
Mike.
awesome.
You see,
Absolutely.
there
Killer.
is still some magic there.
Yeah.
There's
It's-
magic.
It's strange because we're not getting any younger, but there is something that's happening once the five of us get into a room together up on stage, especially on a stage together. There is we may have our difference, but it's there is some magic I would say when once we hit that stage and we just click that in and we just let it rip. So it's really cool. So well, glad you enjoyed it.
So a little fun story. So I met Mike, I think it was what, around 2004, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And you were in a band called Backhander at the time. And so I actually had a podcast back then called Lighthouse Rocks. And you came on and you were a guest. We had a little interview and played some music, and then our friendship grew from there.
Oh yeah.
And then Grand Reserva was born, and so I remember when that happened.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a lot of
crazy.
fun.
You've
Yeah.
been there from the get go, so it's so fun. You being able to come along on this crazy ride with us, and but it's I don't know. It all went pretty well, I think, in the end,
Yeah.
and and we got to meet up actually.
We
When was
did.
that? Yeah, 2018, I think, February, I think, something like that, in Las
Something like,
Vegas,
yeah.
Las
Yeah, in
Vegas of all
Vegas.
places. Jeez,
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That
it
was a lot
it
of fun.
was so. But it's like this. I haven't actually met Soren in real life either, but and I remember I was pretty nervous about meeting Phil, and then thinking, well, what if we don't hit it off at all? If it's only a thing that we do together online
Mm,
and whatnot,
yeah.
and all of a sudden we're in there and we're meeting up at this restaurant, and everybody is there is a lot of people from Sweden there, because we're in Vegas, because a friend of mine, he was opening up a clothing shop. He does a lot of clothes for artists. So we were there supporting him, and Phil and his wife came over. And the first time that we met, it was like, you were my brother from another mother. It's crazy. It's nuts to even talk about it, but it's sort of like we're the same.
Hmm.
And we started talking about music, and we haven't stopped.
No.
And I think there's a bit of that I'm, of course, I'm scared, but I think you and I are the same also, Soren. So by the time we meet, we're gonna hit it off. I'm sure.
Yeah. Or I may turn out to be a complete asshole.
That would be a lot of fun too, because
Yeah.
I cannot see that happening.
A lot
I
of awkward
cannot see
pauses and,
that.
looking at the
Yeah,
watch and
yeah,
Yeah.
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 no,
It's
no,
it's it's like this. We're standing there with a pile of vinyl records, and we're not gonna stop
no.
talking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
I
imagine.
witnessed that just in the beginning of this show before we started recording. So I was
yeah,
like, Mike, I got all these records. Let me go check out. I got to show you these.
yeah,
Because I know Mike will understand. You know, I,
yes, of
I can't
course.
show these records to anybody because people would just not understand. But
Yeah,
you do, Mike, and
yeah.
that's
But is it like, do you do this without thinking sometimes, when you get that copy of something that you're looking for, or excited about, that you tell your family, and they go, huh?
no. I gave
No.
up on that
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
There's just no reason for me to
No.
do that.
Sometimes it happens to me because I get overexcited.
Yeah,
As I said to you before, I have no filters.
yeah,
It's full on, man.
yeah. You
But
know that
it's
there's one of those memes going around Instagram and stuff. This is like an old drawing, an old cartoon piece with a from the 40s or 50s, I guess.
okay.
And there's
Hmm.
there's a man holding, and it's always like Dark Side of the Moon or Black Sabbath, or it's a kind of made into to Dark Side of the Moon, but he's holding a record, and
Yeah.
there's a caption that says, "Oh, this is the first pressing on blah blah blah, so and so and so." And the
Yeah.
wife is just next to him, and there's a speech bubble also, and this is like, fuck off, or something. It's one of those memes that you can change into whatever you want, but
Yeah.
I'm like that.
Yeah.
That's me on that, in that piece of cartoon. That's me.
Oh
So
man.
yeah,
It's
I don't know. It's a lonely life sometimes.
it actually is.
It is.
It's I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's always also a lot of fun, because you tend to meet a lot of people, and from different parts of the world, and you talk to one guy in France, and another one in Brazil, and some in Mexico, and you in Denmark, and this dude over here in the States.
Mm.
But so it's the music. it brings us all together. I think
Well,
it's a
yeah, we're
yeah
also talking about. You mentioned that that sometimes you don't understand that other people don't know what you know. Do you know that?
yeah yeah
Because I sometimes when I do talks, I'm standing, talking for 2 hours and people listening, and sometimes I think to myself, this is just common knowledge. I mean,
hmm
why am I even bothering to explain this? Because everybody knows,
yeah
but not everybody knows, and
no far
and
from it.
just because you think that this is so this is so basic knowledge or basic facts even that of course everybody knows. And I kind of felt that way when I did the book, because I
hmm
thought, would anyone want to read this? Because surely people know this already.
hmm
But people don't. I mean,
no
even if people are interested in music and like records and maybe collect them, not everyone has that level of interest that I or you have.
Mm.
So yeah, it's important to remember that just because you know it, it doesn't mean that everybody else does.
No, yeah,
So
you're still the next level for me because when I read the book, there was stuff in there that I didn't know about. So even though I'm most of the stuff I've heard about and I could relate to, but it's like you said, and it took a really long time before I got talked into doing this podcast because Phil said to me, "Have you thought about it yet?" I don't know. It's like you say, Soren. It's common knowledge. Why would we talk about stuff that the people already know?
yeah.
It's insane, and it's actually people around me have been able to grow their collection and get more common knowledge about stuff that we think everybody knows this
Mm,
already.
mm,
Why are we talking about this? And for us to go take a minute and think, well, oh, okay, because you must have some really big reactions when you are out talking with your lectures and all, that people are coming up to you afterwards and saying, wow, I didn't know stuff.
yeah. I mean, I don't. The only thing about doing what I do is I don't get groupies. You know, I get the nerds that want to share a lot of
oh,
knowledge with
oh
me.
man, that's so funny.
Uh, they, they they show me pictures of the new turntable,
Yeah.
and some people bring records with them,
Oh,
and ask me to have a look at them to see if
yeah.
if they have any value, or
Oh, okay, cool.
something like that. And some old people are really nice. Don't hear me say anything else, but it's just fun because
Mm,
yeah, they some people may feel that here is a guy that understands them. you
hmm
know I can talk to this guy and he knows what I'm talking about. He
Yeah.
understands me. So I guess there's a kind of a connection between nerds that kind of occur, but I
Yeah.
don't get any groupies at all.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's too bad. That's a
It is.
shame.
I sometimes get fan mail from 60-year-old guys, and
I'm
every,
sorry, I'm seeing the groupie right in front of me being a
Uh,
60-year-old.
I
Dude,
remember when the book
that's
came.
why I get.
I remember when the book came out, there was a guy who found out where I live,
No.
and he just knocked on the door one day. This is just like 4 or 5 days after it was released, and he knocked
Uh-huh.
on the door, and he was standing out, a guy in, it's probably around 60, I guess, and he wore an Iron Maiden t-shirt because he saw in the book that I was an Iron Maiden fan. So he wore an Iron
Okay.
Maiden t-shirt just to show his appreciation. and
Yeah.
he wanted me to sign his copy of the book. So of course I did, and
Yeah.
he brought me 3 bottles of red wine, and
No.
his son was with him, and he asked his son to take a picture of us together, like this.
Oh
And it was just, my
man.
wife was just standing in the window looking, what the fuck is going on here? Who is this guy? What happened? But the sweetest people you'll ever meet. But
Yeah.
it's fun, and it's just a weird thing
Yeah.
to have this happen to you. I mean,
Yeah.
a guy from out of nowhere just comes and knocks on your door, wants you to
Yeah.
sign a book. And we also did a record back then it was released. So he wanted my signature on the album sleeve as well, and
Oh.
and then a picture with me, and he gave me wine and all that. It was just a very bizarre in a way,
Yeah.
but very, very sweet also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that's so
Mike, we're
beautiful.
doing something wrong, man, because nobody's knocking on our doors giving us wine.
Oh,
Wanting our
just you wait.
autograph.
No.
Just you wait, Phil.
I mean, geez, we're 100 episodes in, and I don't know.
I mean, from my point of view, being in well, there I got some stories, but I'm thinking this is family entertainment, so I'm keeping that one till one of the bottles of red wine comes up to the table
Are you telling us?
offline.
Are you telling us, Mike, that you are getting groupies?
Moving
I
on.
can see where this is heading, Phil.
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Yes,
We're going to have to do a bonus episode on
we're going
that.
we're going to commercials now.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay
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 tuned.
tuned.
Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere.
Oh man. Oh shit. Maybe we should play some more music though.
We should.
What,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
what do you
Quickly.
think? Since I'm in all the bands in the world, like you say, Phil,
Mhm.
sometimes I mean the presentations that you give me, sometimes it's, I don't know how to, Professor Rockstar. Jeez, how am I gonna live up to that? I don't know. Singer of every band in the world.
Listen,
Well,
Professor Rockstar, that's a good name for a record shop.
it is. It is.
There you go.
You
Think
can
about
have
it.
it if
Think about it.
you can have it if you like. I it's the armor is heavy, but okay. I'm going out of my comfort zone with this. This is a project that started out during COVID because people got sick and people got afraid and whatnot, and there was a couple of us that needed to continue working. So we met up in the rehearsal space. We were like three different bands at the moment rehearsing at the same place with lots of members in and out of in every band. So we started this project called Dead Anarchy, playing covers of Ramones, Sex Pistols, and Misfits and whatnot. And we actually did a cover of Attitude by the Misfits. And all of a sudden, we started to write our own material because the guitar player in the other one of the other bands, he had written a lot of stuff that was in his studio computer. So I said, how about we check this out and see if there is something there. I would love for us to be able to do this. And lo and behold, we did. And so this is me being forced by Phil Boyer out of Idaho, USA, doing another rehearsal thing. And this is the song that we released some months ago. It's called The Original Sin. This is Dead Anarchy in the rehearsal room. All right. String of it.
All ready? Let's go.
Love that song.
Wow.
It's pretty
Abs-
cool. And
yeah,
you
Very
see,
cool, Mike.
absolutely love that song.
thank you. And it's one of those where you have been playing alongside of people for so many years. Me and the drummer Martin, we have known each other since we played at. We were both drummers back then. I used to play drums, starting out as a drummer. So in 1991 or two, I think we're playing at a show together, and he's using my drum kit, and since then we've been playing in bands together alongside. We're on. I mean, we're not like close friends, but we're acquaintance, if you know what I mean. Because we're both drummers and we're both in bands and we're releasing music left and right with different bands. And all of a sudden, it came to a point where he needed a rehearsal space for his new band, and he asked me, "Hey, do you know? Yeah, we got a room, an empty room that where you could set up." And since then we've been close friends, and we known each other for like over 30 years. But it's in the old days.
The
That
old
that's
days.
Did you
the
write
old
the song,
days.
Mike, or did you write it with someone else? Or
Oh, we wrote it together.
okay, yeah,
We wrote it
yeah.
together. Yeah, me and the guitar player. He was everybody's name is Michael, and well, you know, he's all also Mike.
Mm.
So we wrote it together. Mike and Mike got together and and wrote the original scene. I mainly write lyrics I'm not that much into the music bit because I got so many people around me who knows that stuff way better than I do. I only play guitar with a couple of chords and whatnot, but I I know how to get an idea across when I go into a studio with a guitar player and saying, I got this idea
Mm.
and I'm playing strumming along with my guitar, and they say, "Oh, you mean like this?" and they play it like it's supposed to be. So and that's how we write music. So it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. So Dead Anarchy for you there.
There you go.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Good
Yes.
stuff.
I'm speaking of good stuff. I'm thinking about all the stuff that we did, and I try to remember all. I mean, there's so many. I don't listen to the show. It's crazy. I only go online and listen to see if my voice is in the right place. I've changed microphones over the years and so forth, so I only check the volume and so forth. So I never listen to because I can't remember. I say what I have to say on the fly when we're doing the show, and I never look back because I'm afraid what I'm gonna find out. But it's funny because we talked about this before. One of the things that really threw me off was that show when we did the Black album. You remember that, Phil?
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I thought that once you're a Metallica fan, you could somewhat relate to what the band were doing, even though they did a new thing. Because it's for me, it's when a band releases an album that I'm because I love the older stuff. Don't get me wrong, Kill 'Em All, Ride Lightning, Monster Puppets when it comes to Metallica, and of course, Justice. But then the Black Album came. But okay, say what you will about the Black Album. I dig it. I really dig it. It's different, of course. It's different. It really threw me off the first time I heard it. But there's so many stuff connected to me buying a record and listening to it. I have to check the set list. I'm going to show what I'm going to expect when I see Metallica live, and the set list for this tour was just insane. And they're coming to Copenhagen for like the first show that they ever did. That they did I think they did a warm up gig in the U.S. and then they flew over to Europe to Copenhagen to play in Gentofte, where Lars grew up, for crying out loud. And I'm talking about all this thing, and I'm so excited. We're doing this show, and all of a sudden, Phil says in a low pitch voice, "I fucking hate that album." And I said,
Hmm.
"What do you mean? I fucking hate that
Well,
album."
that killed the
If it the
atmosphere.
last, yeah. And I was really taken aback, and I said, I didn't know what to say. Whoa, fucking hate it. And he just left me hanging. I didn't know what to say. And to be honest, that's the most listened to show that we ever did. People are going nuts about this. I'm having people checking out the show, going backtracking a couple of episodes and so forth, and going through the catalog and finding this. I've never say to people, "Oh, go listen to this particular
Hmm.
episode." They find this one and they go, "Holy shit, you got into it with Phil. That was so great. You didn't agree at all." No, but you liked that. Oh man, it was priceless. Hearing him say, "I fucking hate that album," and it was so funny, and it's still funny to this day because it's true. You fucking hate
I
that
do.
album.
I can't stand that album. If I never hear that album again, it'll be too fucking soon. It sucks. It's so bad.
Oh man,
The
that's so
Unforgiven, the
funny.
worst song ever written. I'd rather listen to Post Malone, man. What the
Oh
fuck?
man.
Seriously. Put on some Barbara
Oh,
Streisand, man. I'll listen to that shit before I listen to the Black
Oh
Album.
my God.
And I hate Barbara Streisand, so that tells you.
oh
This guy is really
man.
Yeah.
serious, Mike.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
Yeah.
is.
No,
He is.
that was for me when that record came out, Metallica was dead to me.
Yeah. And that's why it's so funny, and I think that because I actually thought you were kidding. I mean, I mean,
Just playing devil's advocate, you know?
yeah,
No.
but because I don't like every song on there, but I still enjoy the album. Would I pick Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets if I have to choose? Of course, those are epic records. But it's so fun because you're. I mean, you're not moving. You're stand fast and saying no. I don't care
Nope.
what you say.
Nope.
I don't care. But listen to this one. No, no, fucking hate it.
Actually, I did because we talked about when we were going to do that record,
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, let me listen to it, and I couldn't get through it. Like it started with the first few chords of the song, and I'm like, nope, I can't fucking do
no.
it. Nope. Let's skip to the next one. No, I can't do this one either.
Oh
Nope. I
man.
couldn't get through it,
I'm
man.
I'm not sure who
No.
to agree with here because I also remember when it came out, and I went to Copenhagen to see when they played there in '93. I didn't go to the
Yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't go to the
Did
premiere
the one?
gig in '91. And I was a Metallica fan before the Black Album. I got into them around '86, I think, just after Master of Puppets, and I just loved them. But the Black Album confused me so much. I wanted to like it, but I never really clicked with it. But I find today I I I like it much more today because I also think that it reminds me so much of the time. I was
Yes.
16 when it came out,
Hmm.
and so many things happening in my life, and there's so much about 91, 92, those years that they were just good years in my life for many reasons, and the Black Album was in the middle of that. But
Yeah.
so was Nirvana's Nevermind also, and Pearl Jam's 10, and Use Your Illusion with Guns N' Roses. There were so many albums that kind of defined that year and that era.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I tend to look upon, also because you might have been really mad when Black Album came out, but now we have the history. We know what happened
Yeah.
later. We know what albums they did afterwards. So and some of the albums were really good. I think I love the Load album. I was listening to it last night in the car on the way back home. Um, I love the Load album. I don't like so much the other albums that came after the Black Album, but I kind of see the Black Album in a different light today.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not saying that. I think maybe the four, how many singles? Four singles maybe that came off the Black Album. I mean, they have
Yeah.
been
I think so.
overplayed and
Yeah.
kind of over-explained, and I can't listen to Wherever I May Roam or Sad But True. I don't really listen to the songs, but I kind of get more into the other songs on the album.
Yeah.
And also there's the whole crazy stuff that they spent a year and a half recording the album,
Hmm.
and all the work that went into it. So it's just,
And it still sucked.
yeah, but yeah, you might think it sucks, and I agree with you to a certain extent. Uh, I I don't really like it, but I got that deluxe box set they put out last
Hmm.
year, I think,
Yeah.
of the Black
Me
Album,
too.
and it just blew
Hmm.
me away. I must say there was something about it. For the first time, I just listened to it in a with a completely different mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
also all the recordings
the
from
bonus
the
stuff.
from the tour, and
Yeah.
and and it was a trip down memory lane in a good way.
Yeah, and for me that there was the DVD from
Oh
Gentofte,
yeah,
the first show
yeah,
that they ever did.
yeah,
It was Pro
yeah,
Shot by
yeah.
Metallica. So I mean, just I was 20 years old in 1991, so just a couple of years before that, I discovered that you could go by boat to Copenhagen, and there was a different scene over there. I'm 16, 17 years old, something like that,
Mm,
when we went over the first time, and this whole new thing opened up where you can actually see bands all the time.
mm,
You could just take the boat and buy a ticket, and all of a sudden Kiss is there. I mean, smaller bands played at smaller venues. There was nothing like that in Sweden, and it was around that time, when I was 20 years old. I was living it, literally living it, buying records, going to shows, buying records, going to more shows, finding out. I mean, going to Copenhagen the first time, I remember, to one of the bigger shows that I went to was Kiss in 1988. I think it was 88, yeah. And riding the bus with people with back patches from all ends of the world, going, "Whoa, what's that? Where do you buy it? Where did you buy that pin or that T-shirt?" And it's sort of like we're one big family, and it threw me off because there was nothing like that at the time in Sweden. Of course, we there was a couple of friends that bought some albums and had some back patches, but on for me it was next level. I wanted to take it to the next level, so we went over to Copenhagen to buy albums because they were released beforehand in Copenhagen,
mm,
so that we could bring them back to Malmo and say, "Hey, look what I found," and T-shirts and all of that. So for me, it's the whole shebang.
mm,
So when they released the Black Album, it's sort of like, at okay, I get this. It's not one of my favorite albums. I get all of you. I think the Unforgiving and Nothing Else Matters and whatnot is I
They're whiny bitch little songs, is what they are.
yeah, they're whiny bitch little songs.
Yeah.
But then there is the other thing, because when I bought the deluxe box set, my son started to listen to Metallica. And I'm thinking, wow. So we'll listen to Enter Sandman and Sad But True. And all of a sudden I said, hey, they released stuff before? Wow, cool. And I pull up all my vinyl records with Metallica. And he saw all the crosses on Master of Puppets and said, whoa, that's really cool. Hey, want to listen to it? Put it on the turntable, and guess what? What the hell? This is fucking insane. The fast guitars and the wow, I really love this. So he went from the Black Album and backtracked because he he remembered hearing Enter Sandman on the radio, or at a friend's house, or Nothing Else Matters. But that started out his interest in heavier stuff. So he listened to Soilwork, and he listens to Judas Priest, he listens to Anthrax, and whatnot. Metallica, he's a big fan of Metallica. So with that being said, if it hasn't been that younger people hadn't discovered the Black Album, maybe they wouldn't discover Master of Puppets, Ride Lightning, and Kill 'Em All. I don't know,
mm,
because we're blessed that we're at this age growing up when those records were
mm.
released. I went to the Master of Puppets tour in Lund in Sweden in 1986. That was my first Metallica show, but my son he's 15 years old today. He wasn't around when those bands released all the great stuff, but he still loves all of them.
Mm.
So I'm thinking it's in a different light, though. So whiny
Whatever you got to
bitches.
tell yourself, man. Whatever you got to tell
I
yourself.
So,
knew it.
Mike, I never really
I
understood. Do you
knew.
like the Black Album or do you hate it?
Me,
Yeah.
I don't hate it. There is some love for it because it is at a certain point in my life. It means quite a lot to
Mm.
me. So it's more a sentimental thing,
Yeah.
if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Um, if I have real love for an album, that it has to be. If I have to choose it, it's gonna be Ride the Lightning because that's the first Metallica album that I bought with my own
Mm.
money. But there is a special thing for me about the Black Album, so there is a bit of affection to it,
Sure.
if you know what I
Sure.
mean. But it's on a bigger
Yeah.
scale, on a much bigger
Yeah.
scale. So, but remember those first time when you heard Metallica for the first time, dude? You never go.
Nothing else like it.
Oh,
Nothing
it's
else like
crazy.
it.
Still today,
I was in Austria the first time I heard Master of Puppets, because we went on one of those bus holidays,
oh
coach
yeah,
holidays, to in the summertime,
mm-hmm,
to a place in Austria where you normally ski, but
mm-hmm,
obviously you don't do that in the summertime. So there was like a cheap holiday kind of thing. And there was another
mm-hmm.
guy on the bus. He was couple of years older than me, but he had Master of Puppets on his Walkman. So yeah, and I borrowed that, and I just listened to Battery for the first time, and it only took a few seconds, and I was just
Yeah,
into it completely.
yeah.
So yeah.
My my first time was at a friend's house. I've heard later on because I didn't know it was Metallica that I heard on the radio. But my first real experience, what I got this new album and I looked at the cover. Oh, Metallica. Okay, it's blue. I don't know what's going on here. So I'm sitting down because I was into Kiss and White Snake and Maiden and that type of thing. And he said, "Well, sit down and listen to this." And I got in front of his speakers and he puts on the first song, "Fight Fire with Fire," and you can hear those acoustic guitars going off. And I think, wow, this is not that bad. And then he cranks the stereo and I almost shit my pants. Jesus, and I haven't looked back since. It's I mean, still today when I play that song, I remember that first time. It's fucking insane. It is.
Hmm.
So there you go. That's the
Yes.
Metallica story right there.
And speaking of Metallica,
Yep.
Mike, we have to mention your
Mm-hmm.
favorite ex member of Metallica, Dave Mustaine.
Oh, don't get me started.
Have we ever done a
Gee.
Megadeth record on the show? I think
No,
we did.
we
Did
did.
I don't oh.
Didn't you do
I think
I
we
don't
did
Peacemaker?
think
Rust in
so.
Peace.
Rusty.
Right now, oh, for it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you like Megadeth, right?
Yeah, used to. I kind
Whiny.
of
Yeah,
grew out of
Yeah.
yeah.
when he
I can't stand him.
now
There is
you know
something.
like he sings like he's constipated or something. Like I can't do it anymore. I can't
But
do it.
this is the
I'd still
thing.
rather listen to Megadeth than the Black Album. Just
Yeah,
saying. But
I'm going to try to be diplomatic about this. No, I'm
don't be
not.
diplomatic.
No, I'm
We're not
not.
that kind of
But
show.
it's it's still today. It baffles me every time we talk about Dave Mustaine. Because here's this guy who used to be in Metallica before it all. I mean, before Kill 'Em All and whatnot, they were starting out, and he was in the band, and he was an alcoholic, so he couldn't play anymore. So he got fired, and with that being said, we all know what happened to Paul Diano. We all know what happened to some other dudes. And here's this dude saying, "Fuck this! I'm gonna start my own band and give those motherfuckers a piece of my mind." Well, fine, go do it. And so, did he create a small, tiny band that nobody knows about? No, he's in a band with the four biggest metal acts, actually called the Big Four, for a fucking reason. He's in fucking Megadeth. He created that himself. Still whines about not being in Metallica. What the actual fuck? only a
He can't
couple of
handle it.
only a couple of weeks
It's
ago.
only because Metallica is way bigger and way richer.
Yeah.
But he's still getting royalties off of that
I
stuff.
mean,
So
But
he's
I
still
don't
Mike,
know.
how would you feel
Jeez.
about being kicked out of Metallica?
But it's
No, I know what you mean.
I don't know.
No.
But it's if I were to go on a drinking bench, I'm going on a real bender and then fuck up my life for good with alcohol and drugs and so forth, and I became a nobody. Maybe I would be a whiny little bitch going off, used to be me, they threw me out. But he didn't. He created one of the biggest metal acts in the world. I mean, Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax, and Megadeth. They're called the Big Four for a reason,
Yeah.
for crying out
Mhm.
loud.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't
But
know.
you can also
Just
say
the
that none of the other three bands are as big as Metallica.
no,
In
of course
in a
not.
way,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they might be. They may be musically better than
yeah.
Metallica, and I really think they are most of
Mhm.
those bands.
Yeah.
But in terms of album sales and there's no competition at all.
But explain to me, because I don't know. Maybe I'm off on this. Why? I mean, he's almost 60 years old. Why can't?
Because he's a whiny little bitch. I mean,
Yes,
that's
he
just all there
is.
is to it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. He can't accept it. He can't accept that Metallica actually did him a favor and kicked his ass out and probably saved his life or put him on a better career path. He can't accept that. So
Hmm.
that's it. But
That's it.
moving on, you mentioned you wanted to be diplomatic. And I
Yes.
think one of the cool guests that we had on the show was the former ambassador to both Sweden and the UK on.
Oh yeah.
He was known as the vinyl diplomat. And some of the stories
Yeah.
that he talked about with Annie Lennox and stuff, that was really cool.
Oh,
That was a
it
lot of
was.
fun having him on.
Yeah, we had some great guests on the show. You remember when we had Janet Schaefer from ABBA?
Yeah, that was cool. That was
That was
talk about
that
war
was.
stories, man.
Have you heard that one,
Oh
Soren?
yeah, I listened to a
Have you
bit of
heard it?
it. Janne Schaffer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's a story behind this. I was sitting. It was Saturday night. We're sitting watching one of those. I don't know, one of those shows on Swedish television, and my wife said, well, she listened to another podcast with a famous Swedish singer, which I don't care too much about, and said, who should I have on? Let the people, let the audience decide. Who should I have on? And my wife turns to me, who do you think she should interview next? And I said, Janet Schaefer. He's got some great stories. And I think to myself, hey, wait a minute. I got a podcast. Fuck this. I'm sitting there with my phone and going into Janet's webpage and finding his email address, sending him an email. So I did it. I beat that Swedish singer to. I mean, I'm gonna have Johnny on, man. And she said, yeah, right. 2 hours later, the phone rings. And I know there's because I listened to I got a couple of albums that he released himself as a solo artist. And one of it is called Ear Meal, and his production company is called Ear Meal Productions. And all of a sudden, I look at my phone and it says Ear Meal Productions. Ear Meals Productions is giving me a call, and my mind goes, "Holy crap! It has to be him. What the fuck? What am I?" So I'm answering the phone. Yes, hello. Is this Mike? Hey, this is Johnny. I tried to send you an email, but it didn't work, so I thought I'll call you instead. It's Saturday night. What the hell? And I'm thinking, this can't be happening. So I think it's a great idea. Me being on the show and talking about my years in ABBA and so forth. He's like this. He it was a long time ago that he spoke English on a daily basis, but he didn't care. He's like me. I'm going off. I can't speak English for shits. So, and he's going off. Yeah, that's a great idea. And I told him about what we were doing and what we wanted to do with him. I mean, talking about all the anecdotes and all the recordings and whatnot. So, and he came on the show just a couple of weeks later. He came on the show, and we had all these questions lined up. We didn't have to. I mean, he just talked. He just talked for like an hour. Uh, he didn't take a breather. He told us all the stories about. Yeah, there was this guy in the basement in a house in Stockholm. He was this young dude. He was like 17 years old. He was an African American, I think, but actually I found out he was from Jamaica. And he was sitting there. I felt sorry for him, so I went down, talked to him. He's sitting there with an acoustic guitar. So, you're writing songs, I said. Yes. Could you play me a song? Of course. I shot the sheriff, but I and it was and it was Bob Marley in the basement in a house in Stockholm, 17 years old. I mean, all these stories. So
Mm-hmm.
and we asked him, what's the thing that you're most proud of? Oh, being in the room when they created Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia. And we both look at each other. What do you mean being in the room when it was created? Because I thought that Bjorn and Benny was writing all the stuff, and it took all the finished part and went into the studio with the studio musicians, and they put it on. No, they came. We need to do some songs. Anybody has an idea? So he was in the room when they created Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia from the get go. From the first tune that they played together, he was there creating the songs together with Bjorn and Benny.
Incredible.
Dropping that bomb on us on the Sounds on Vinyl podcast. Fucking hell, we couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
How cool.
It was insane.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Really insane. It was.
That was a good,
So who was
a great guest to have on the show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He was so gracious, taking the time with two knuckleheads like us, and just spilling his guts and talking about the good old days and whatnot. It was crazy. So if you get the chance, yeah, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, yeah, we had some fun guests on the show. We had
Yeah.
Nicholas England from formerly with In Flames and now with Halo Effect.
Yeah,
That guy cracked me up. He was on a couple times, and he had this big wall of records behind him, and he would just be like, "Oh wait, check this out," and he'd pull a
Yeah.
record out. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and we had Philip Shauson, who
Oh yeah.
at the
Couple
time
times.
played with Gene Simmons band and played with Ace Frehley, and now he's a full-time member of German rockers, metalheads accept.
Yeah.
So and he was on teaching us about the Beatles and all the good stuff, and he had some war stories. Oh man, he was a
Yeah.
great guy. He was a
Yeah.
great guy. So, and
Yeah.
who else is on?
Well, we had the Onos.
Oh yeah, music. Yeah,
Yeah, some of the music we played from the Onos. We had Phlegma, Hot Breath, Bomb Walk,
yeah.
bunch of
Bomb
teenagers in Bomb Walk.
yeah, yeah.
Those, yeah.
Sounded like
the,
early Metallica, I think.
yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
the Demtones. Yeah, we had so many.
So
Like,
many great bands.
we really took a journey over these 100
Yeah.
episodes. We really did. And it was it's been a lot of fun. We did a lot of experiments with interviews and that little thing we did in between seasons one time called the B-sides. And of course, we
Yeah.
had Soren on for an entire season talking about all
Yeah.
the ins and outs of vinyl collecting and all that.
Yeah.
It's been a great 3 years, 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Had the chance to grow our audience and meet new people, and it's been one hell of a ride, I
Oh
would
yeah.
say.
Yeah. And I think it's cool because we only go with the stuff that we dig at the moment. We think that it's a great idea to do the B-sides because, wow, wouldn't it be cool to have a bunch of indie bands come on the show and let's play them and interview them. Oh, I got this guy from Denmark. He's written a book. It's such a great guy. Let's have him on. And we had such a great time with you, Soren. So that was one of the best things that we ever did, letting you in for a full season talking about. And how was that for you? I mean,
It was so much fun. I mean, I haven't done much of these podcast things before, or even video chats, and I don't really do much of that. So I was kind of I wouldn't say I was nervous, but I was more like, what are we going to talk about, and how is the format, and
mm,
how are we going to interact with each other, and also and first and foremost, what am I going to say? I mean,
mhm.
so. But we had a chat, Mike, a few days before we filmed the first episode, and we kind of talked about, well, what are we're gonna do, so and so, 5 or 6, 7 shows maybe, and then we're gonna have a theme for each episode, and that kind of helped me to set to frame it a bit, and say, okay, the first
Mhm.
episode we're going to talk about, I don't know what it was, maybe record covers, and then we're going to go into labels, and we're going to have a fun episode. I remember we did the Christmas episode, and I really
Oh
enjoyed
yeah.
that. We had that, and we did the competition with Code Electro album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That was
That
great.
was awesome. Yeah. So, but I think it was much easier to do than I thought it would be, because
Mhm.
it was just very relaxing just talking to you guys, and I found myself really enjoying preparing for the shows, because I would go through my records and think, oh, I need something to show and to talk about, and because it was because it was going to be filmed, I was going to be able to show stuff. Uh, uh,
Yeah.
so that was kind of made things easier, that you could actually hold up a record and show some examples. So I kind of
Yeah.
enjoyed the bit of going through the collection and finding some quirky stuff, and so that was fun, because again, like we talked about before, nobody really cares if you talk to them like at work, or if you meet some, this is like a good, there was a good, sorry, this was a good forum to do that. It was a good place to talk
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
that, because I
Yeah.
know you, at least Mike, will be very interested in, and I hope also, Mike, you found it fun. But
Mhm.
it's much
Yeah.
more relaxing talking to people that will actually listen
Yeah.
to what
Yeah.
you're saying. So
And half the time when we're talking about planning for a show, Phil always says to me, "Damn, we should record this. We're having such a great time right now. So this could be a show. Damn it!" And that's
Yeah.
why I think it went so well, because we just want to be able to sit down. I mean, the three of us, we're having a talk right now. I mean. Um, I love that people are tuning in and listening to this, but I would be doing this with Phil, even though if people wouldn't listen at all, because it's it's sort of like I need to get it off my chest, if you know
mm,
what I mean, and leave it there. It's like doing a recording with one of my bands and doing a song, writing a song, recording it, and releasing it. It's the same thing with the Sounds on Vinyl podcast episodes.
Well,
We
it's
need
much
do it
easier to
and
do this than going to a therapist or
yeah,
It's just-
it is
Cheaper too.
yeah, cheaper.
cheaper too. Yeah. So, well, it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm so grateful that that from the get go, Phil, that you told me that we need to do this because we need to let everybody know that this stuff is out there, and I think you're the one that supposed to tell everybody about this. And then with more in depth, we brought Soren in, and I think I mean, we closed it all together, and it's been a hell of a ride, and I'm so grateful that we're still here and we're doing the 100 episode, and Soren is with us, and it's
Well, it's been so much.
It's awesome.
It's been so much fun being
it has.
a small part of your long journey. It's been
Yeah.
really fun being part of that, and also experiencing the chemistry between you guys, and yeah, we all love music,
Yeah.
and that's just
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Yeah, and
It
for
is.
us, you're a big part of the Sounds on Vinyl. So it's for us to be able to reach out to you again and have you on this show. It's sort of like it's meant to be. You're supposed to be here,
Oh.
of course.
That's
So-
right.
Excellent. Well,
This is like our Hall of Fame show, so you have to be here.
Yeah.
Right? That's,
yeah.
oh, I'm like KK joining the show here.
no, not like KK. Not like KK.
Not like
no,
KK.
no, not like him.
Oh man.
Please take me back on the show. Please take me back on the show.
Oh man. Oh, what do you say, Phil? Do we have something else, or
I think that's it, man. I think
That's-
that's episode
wrap.
100 is in the can.
Well done, guys.
I think
And
so too.
And,
Yes,
and with that, we bid you all farewell, and we'll see you guys next time.
we do.
Until then,
Later.
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 Later.